Ristas Torvis. It's Allie, and in case you haven't guessed by my impeccable Valerian accent or the title of this video, today we are going to be doing a original book tag based on the final season of Game of Thrones. The end of an era is approaching, with the final couple episodes of Game of Thrones to be released in the coming weeks, and I thought it would be fun to make an original book tag using some prompts inspired by the show, as well as some of the kind of Twitter memes that have been cropping up as a result of the last few episodes in Season 8. I've loved this show for as long as it's been on the air, and while I am definitely sad to see it go, I thought this tag might be a fun way to celebrate both Game of Thrones and also the other stories that have reached their end and that have kind of stuck with you and with me throughout the years. So with that all being said, let's get started with the first prompt. Number 1 is Arya Stark is no Mary Sue, a true badass with the training to prove it. Mary Sues are always annoying to see in fiction because they are usually wasted potential for an otherwise really interesting character. By making them too perfect, you make them less relatable. But Arya Stark is not one of those characters. She is definitely no Mary Sue because she has been training for like a decade to become the badass that she is. Similarly, the character who I'm about to mention is my choice for this prompt, and that is Katniss Everdeen from The Hunger Games. I think this is a perfect example of a character who comes by all of her strengths naturally. She's really good with an arrow, but she's not just amazing at it the first time she tries. She's learned over the years in order to help her family eat, and throughout the Hunger Games, she has to rely on her own ingenuitive mind and her own forward thinking in order to make any of the moves that she does make. So all of her badassery is coming purely from her own life and her own background, and not just out of thin air. She has the training to prove it, and so does Arya Stark. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Prompt number 2 is Theon Greyjoy is a good man. Name a character with a stellar character arc. Theon Greyjoy's character arc is super complicated and one of the more extreme character arcs in the show, I guess we could say. Not only do I think it's one of the best managed ones by the writers, I also think it's one of the best performed character arcs in the show. That being said, one of my other favorite character arcs that I have read in recent memory is this one, April May's storyline in An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. I loved how Hank Green, the author, deals with this idea of virality and fame, and how fame can bleed into politics and vice versa, and how humans work together with one another and sometimes apart from one another. With all that being said, I love this book. I love the storyline. I try to keep it vague because I went into this completely blind and I feel like I enjoyed it all the more for it, so that's all I'm going to say about it, but please pick up this book. April May is awesome, and I love her. The end. Prompt number 3 is Where is Ghost? A side character you wish you saw more of. I debated for a really long time which particular character I would choose for this because I have a lot of side characters that I would like to see more of. I tend to get really attached to side characters, but the one that probably makes the least amount of sense is Dean Thomas from the Harry Potter series. I don't know why. I always wished that Dean was a more active participant in the story. I remember just thinking like, oh, he seems like such a nice guy. And then he continues to be a nice guy throughout the rest of the series. He dates Ginny at one point, but he's always just kind of like a placeholder character, which I never thought he deserved. I felt like he had a story to tell. I don't know why, but I just always wished that I had more Dean Thomas moments. I don't know. Number 4 is Aegon Targaryen, the rightful king. A plot twist you totally saw coming. First of all, let me just say that just because a book's plot twist is guessable doesn't mean that it's predictable, and even if it is a little bit predictable, that doesn't necessarily detract from the story that it's trying to tell. So I am not throwing any shade at this book by saying that the ending was guessable or predictable or anything like that. I'm just saying that I personally guessed it. That being said, for this one, I chose The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. The ending to this one, I know it blindsided a lot of people, but I wasn't really surprised. I still felt moved by it. I just wasn't like, oh my god. I kind of knew it was coming. So I don't know. Were you blindsided by this plot twist? If you've read this book, let me know in the comments. But yeah, that's gonna be The Fault in Our Stars for me. Number 5 is Lady Stoneheart. Name a character or plot point that you would not include in a TV or movie adaptation. Though I have not read the books, my dad has, and he has told me a little bit about Lady Stoneheart, who is a reanimated but not quite a zombie, not quite a White Walker version of Lady Catelyn Stark, the matriarch of the Stark family. The TV showrunners have not seen fit to include her at all in the TV show, and since we have only a couple of episodes left, my guess is that she's not going to be showing up anytime soon. My choice for this prompt is to get rid of the lovely but rather inconsequential Kitty Bennett from Pride and Prejudice. There is really no reason for Kitty to exist other than to be another daughter in the family. She, even less so than Mary, who's another kind of inconsequential character in the grand scheme of things, she's just kind of like out there living her life, and while I'm sure she's fine, she doesn't really do much for the story, and I think the story would be just as successful without having an additional Bennett sister, so I would just probably kick her out. Number 6, Aria and Gendry, a ship you wish wouldn't sail. Now, when I said that I was making these prompts inspired by things that were being said about the season as it stands, I did not say that I necessarily agreed with all of them. I think that the Aria and Gendry storyline is pretty much going exactly as I had expected and hoped that it would. I think the Gendry and Aria ship is free to set sail, but I know that some people didn't quite feel that way, and so I included it as one of the prompts here, mostly so that I could talk about ships that I don't like. For this one, I'm going to go with Alina and the Darkling from the Shadow and Bone trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. I don't necessarily mean the trilogy itself, but more so the upcoming Netflix show, how they're going to show their relationship as it begins, grows, develops, and all that. I think it would be really interesting if the show does take it a route where you can always tell through whether it be like lighting design or sound design that there's like something afoot or there's like something wrong with this relationship. I think that would be a really cool way to do it. I just hope that they don't make it into like a flowery, oh, they're so in love thing, because that would gross me out. Number 7, Valar Morghulis. All men must die. Name a character you would bring back from the dead. My answer for this one has some minor spoilers for Never Fade by Alexandra Bracken in the Darkest Mind series, so if you somehow haven't read that one yet, then skip forward a couple seconds. Like a lot of these, I had a lot of different characters I could have chosen to fill this prompt, but at the end of the day, after going through all of the characters that have crushed me with their deaths, as well as ones who I feel like could have stayed alive and not changed the actual story much, I had to go with Jude from Never Fade in the Darkest Minds trilogy. I loved his character. He was such a little ray of sunshine, and I just always really hate when like young teenagers or children get nixed in things like that, and I do think that his death increased the stakes for the main characters. I just want him back. So I'm gonna go with Jude from Never Fade. And finally, the Many-Faced God. Tag other Game of Thrones fans to make this video. I sent out a last-minute Twitter summons this morning asking if anybody wanted to be tagged in this video, and I got a couple of responses before filming, but it was very last minute, so I'll add any additional tags down in the description below. But for now, the 3 people that I'm going to tag are Meg from Meg of Tome Infinity, Lexi from Alexandra Rosalind, and Cait from Chapter Cait. So I hope you guys enjoy making this video. I had fun making it. I hope the prompts are fun. If you liked this video, do give it a like, and if you like my content, do subscribe. I make videos every Friday, and I promise I talk about things other than Game of Thrones sometimes. I've been talking about it a lot lately. That's gonna be it for me this week, and I will see you in the next one. You know, I was going for Daenerys with this whole kind of look, but now I feel like I've just gone full, like, red woman. Bantizobresa, seo signotileris. Yes, I know High Valerian. I'm sorry. Do you not understand? Oh, pleb, you must know lower.